A watch has many more passive functionalities than just being able to tell the time. You see, a watch, specifically a Swiss-made watch, acts more as a status symbol than a watch, since they're crafted with the most delicate materials and often handmade by professionals, which is one of the reasons why they cost nearly an arm and a leg. But should you or anyone else be paying that ridiculous amount of money to be in possession of a Swiss watch? More importantly, is it worth it? Well, why don't we find out? Swiss watches can be considered as the very definition of luxury itself, putting themselves on an equal level alongside sports cars and signature shades. Watch aficionados all around the world would literally pay thousands, even millions, for a watch that has a Rolex, Patek Philippe, or IWC branding. Interestingly, what these three brands have in common is that they're all Swiss-made. And with that, we'll take a deep dive into what exactly can be identified as a Swiss watch. The term itself was adopted in the late 19th century, meaning the timepiece has met the standards of Switzerland. The time has been used so much that it's more of a generic synonym instead of a geologically restricted expression. Want to know something interesting? There are actual laws that determine whether a watch can be deemed as a Swiss-made, which has been established in 1971. With no changes in these laws for over 5 decades, here are the 5 primary laws that need to be followed in order to claim itself a Swiss watch. Number 1. Movement should be Swiss. Number 2. The watches need to be crafted in Switzerland. Number 3. The movement of the watch is cased in Switzerland. Number 4. At least 60% of a timepiece's manufacturing costs should be based in Switzerland. And number 5. The final inspection of the watch should be done in Switzerland. This law alone should pretty much give you an idea of the attention to detail and intricate process the Swiss go through in order to make a watch. This also reflects their passion and love for watchmaking in general. Although nowadays, there are several loopholes some specific brands take advantage of, we wouldn't consider them Swiss watches, because they, for obvious reasons, lack the spirit, or dare we say the soul. Simply put, there's a lot of debate regarding the importance and initially the value of the Swiss watch. While some believe the Swiss watches are something to be worn by aristocrats and should be gate-kept from the general public, others think at the end of the day, it's only just a brand. Whatever the case may be, the Swiss watches have one thing that no one can disagree with, and that is their pristine craftsmanship and accurate timing capabilities. And combine that with the components they use to produce the watches and the craftsmanship they utilize makes a difference. So what kind of components could require this almost absurd amount of money? Glad you asked. First up, the Swiss watchmakers design their watch movements with an immense amount of pride. One such example can be found in the Rolex 3255 movement, which you'll find in some Rolex day-date watches. These movements take literal years to craft, and even more when you count the time it takes to assemble and finalize, which will then last for centuries. Speaking of time, when you're looking for a Swiss watch of the utmost quality, just the modeling process could take months. Since the production rate is very slow and the demand of the market is very high, it's only obvious to see why there's a sky-high price tag with Swiss watches. For example, a watch from Patek Philippe takes more than 6 years to make, so go figure. Now, the components. Nothing except the richest of components and materials is used to craft Swiss watches. The materials are not only for show though, since these are the components that make these watches so accurate, reliable, and durable. For example, Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Collection is famous for brandishing their watches with gold and diamond, hence making them one of the most luxurious Swiss watches that could be considered a dream gift for any aristocrat. Also, making a statement in its sheer appearance, the Swiss watches puts out an impression of pure prestige and luxury. Any luxury watch enthusiast wouldn't even bat an eye at the price, since usually they come from a pretty strong financial background and are more than prepared to pay the full amount. And things go even higher when you sell these watches at an auction. For example, in 1999, a 24-function watch that was crafted back in the 1930s for banker Henry Graves was sold for $11 million, and it doesn't stop there. After a decade, the same old watch was sold for a staggering $23 million, making a name and taking the place as the most expensive watch in the history of watches. Now with all that, here's the question. Is a premium Swiss watch really worth it? For the premium price, the overwhelming amount of time and attention to detail to craft a single unit, and the utilization of the components that produce a watch with accurate time-telling abilities that'll last you not a year, 10 years, 20 years, but generations, yes, we'd say it's worth it. Now yes, obviously these watches aren't for the masses and are tailor-made for those who can afford them, and a small number of people who desire nothing but the best. Do let us know what your favorite lineup of Swiss watches is, as we would love to hear from you. And as for everything else, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you want more content like this on your feed.